if your life is without God, it's like going in circles, round and round and round. You're stuck there. You will not be able to exit. Every morning you wake up, brush your teeth, go to work, or go to whatever, of your college or work, then come back, watch TV, and then go to bed, eat, sleep. So this goes on, 30 years, 40 years, and then you get off where you started. Like it's like going round and round and round. There's no purpose in life. You might have made a lot of money, you may become rich meanwhile, you may attain fame, but you have not done the will of God. What God has made you with a purpose, He's packaged you with gifts, talents, intelligence. All this is only to accomplish His purpose for your life. And, only you can do that. You are unique, you're one of a kind, and only you can fulfill that purpose for your life, only through Jesus. So without God, we just go round and round. The mundane existence, it's called. Now let's go to the book of Ruth, the story of Ruth. Ruth's story shows that the moment she gives her life to God, she says, right, I want to, your God is my God. Your people are my people. She comes under the shadow of God's wings. She says, I want this God. The moment she does that, immediately she enters the royal line. I told you some weeks back about the genealogy of Jesus. There are two women, I said. One is Rahab and one is Ruth. Ruth, though being a Moabite, she enters the royal line as soon as she gives her life to God, the God of Israel. That is redemption. We may think, what is redemption? Okay, you accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior, then what? You are taken out of that roundabout where you're going round and round, round and round. Life has no meaning. God pulls you out through redemption and puts you on track. There you start your purpose. That is the first step. And there you go towards your purpose and you walk all the way up to Jesus. So you hold on to God and He leads you into the right paths He has for you. Okay, the story starts with four people. Two sons. Do you know those names? The sons of Naomi?
Mm.
Who are they?
Oh yeah, Mahalon and Kilion.
Yes, that's right. And the father?
Elimelech.
And Naomi. So it starts with a place called Bethlehem. You all can see Bethlehem. They are from Bethlehem,
Yeah.
Judah or Judea. Okay. Now there is a famine there, and this family decides to go to Moab. See, Moab is not very far from there, so they pack their bags and go to Moab, and there they settle down. You know what is the meaning of the name Bethlehem? Does anyone know?
I know.
Yeah, whoever knows, tell me.
Bread basket.
Bread basket. So there is a famine in bread basket, and imagine they go to the neighboring country, Moab. Now I want to give you a little background of what is Moab. Everyone knows Lot, right? Who's Lot?
Lot. Yeah, Abraham's nephew.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now Lot, he had a wrong relationship with his two daughters. Remember? I mean, the two daughters they wanted to have children.
Yeah, I read that.
Through incest, they have two children. One is Moab, the elder one, and the second daughter's son is Ammonite. Ammon. Okay, so their children, their descendants are the Moabites and the Ammonites. So that you can see in Genesis 90. And so these Moabites and the Ammonites were, predominantly living in this Canaan. Now, God, as these Israelites were crossing Moab and the land of Ammon, what happened was their king, remember Balak and Balaam?
No.
You know Balaam, the donkey story? You might have
Oh,
learned.
yeah.
Okay, now what happened was the Moabites, they tell Balaam to curse Israel. So even though Balaam tried to curse Israel, God will change the curse into blessing. So one sin they committed was they cursed Israel. Second thing is, when they passed, they did not allow them to pass, and they did not, all the tribes, they came and gave them food and water, but this tribe alone resisted and they did not give them food or water. So Moab committed sin against Israel. If you curse Israel, you are cursed. You know that, right? I will bless those who bless you, and I curse those who curse you. So God will tell Israel, these Moabites would never enter God's presence. That is, because they did this wrong thing. And also, so these people technically should not have gone. They made a real fatal mistake. What was the fatal mistake? Going to Moab. Instead of trusting God to provide or asking God for guidance, this was the fatal mistake this family made. They went all the way to Moab. Not only that, they settled there. The two sons got married to two Moabite women, Ruth and what's the other girl's name? Yeah, let's think. Thank God the current has come.
Oh, yay.
Yeah, yay. Because it's connected now to my phone. So anytime that will go. So I'll better connect it to the internet when it comes in 2 minutes. So this family, so who's the other girl? Ruth is one.
Naomi.
Who's the other one?
Orpha.
Naomi.
Orpah, yes.
Naomi.
Orpha.
Orpah, yes, correct. Orpah or Orpah, I don't know how to pronounce. So now what happened was, that the men die. All the men die. The first Elimelech dies, and then the two sons die. Now Naomi.
How did they die, Auntie?
They died. That's all it's written. The Bible doesn't give any clarification on how they died.
Yeah.
So none of us know how they died. It's just that they died. All the men died. Okay. Now Naomi is left with now 3 widows are left. Naomi, Orpah, and Ruth. So these 3. Yeah, connected. 1 second. I just connected. Hello? No.
I can't see, Auntie.
You can see me now?
Okay, now I can.
Okay,
Now I can see.
Yeah.
Okay, thank God. So now, who are the 3 women left? Naomi and Orpah and
Naomi, Orpah, and Ruth.
Ruth. Only these 3 widows are left. In those days, just like now, being a widow is not easy. Okay, now there's no way, usually men went out to work. So these women were left high and dry. Nothing, no means of, of living, nothing. Naomi, you know the meaning of the name Naomi? Somebody is muted. So the meaning of the name Naomi,
Pleasant.
pleasant, very good, pleasant, okay? Now this pleasant Naomi, she's become so bitter, she's become so sad and bitter and unrecognizable. She now decides to go back. There's nothing for her to do in Moab. She decides to go back to Bethlehem. You know why? Because she heard that God has provided for his people. So she thought, okay, let me go back to Bethlehem. In Bethlehem, everyone hears this, these, and on the way, these two women, they are just following the mother-in-law so closely, and she turns to them and says, now go back, girls, go back to your land, because you know what she thinks, these two are Moabite women. They are not going to get any husband in Israel. Israelites will not marry the Moabites. So she thinks, their chance of getting a husband is very slim, or maybe it's impossible. So she tells them, go back, go get a man for yourself. I'm not going to bear another son for you. So now go back to your land, your country. Then both of them are saying, no, we want to come with you. Then slowly she persuades them on. And then one girl, Orpah, she may have thought, okay, perhaps it's better for me to go to my people. And even yesterday we were talking about this story, and Tana said, if I were Ruth, I would have gone back, because I feel that my parents are better than going back with the
Mother-in-law.
Yeah. So she said,
Yeah.
but then, there's something about
It
Naomi.
makes more sense.
It makes more
Yeah.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think for Orpah, it made more sense for her to go back. So she returns. But you never hear of Orpah in the Bible again. She disappears. After that, there's no mention of Orpah. But Ruth, something attracts Ruth to her mother-in-law, her people, and her God. There's something that even though, see, there was nothing great that happened to them, right? There were no miracles. Everyone died. Okay. There were, if she had at least seen some miracle where her husband was healed or something, there's something to, attract her to this God. But then she knew there is something different in this God, in these people, that she chose Naomi and her God over her own people. So she came back with Ruth. She clung, it says, Ruth clung to her mother-in-law. So, when we were on our walk, in our walk with God, we need to cling to his God, to this God like Ruth. You have to just go after him, no matter what your situation. Don't look at the situation. If she had looked at the situation, she would have gone back. She would have gone into that roundabout I told you about. Instead, she clung to Ruth and she said, I'm going to come after these people and this God. So she goes with her mother-in-law and she made a choice. Ruth made a choice. Your character is built on the choices you make. Okay, who you are, what you are is the choices you make, the right choices you make. She made the right choice at the right time, and she became the part of the royal line. See, now Ruth refuses to go and she clings to her. And now they go to Bethlehem and everybody calls her, Naomi. And she says, don't call me Naomi. I am so bitter. Call me Mara. Mara means bitter. Now what happens is Ruth says 4 I wills. Okay, I will. So she says, I will go with you. I will stay with you. I will die with you, and I will be buried with you. That means till the end. It shows that Ruth is loyal. Love is loyalty. Love, you just say, I love you, but you're not loyal, then that's not real love. See, God's love has loyalty. God makes a covenant of love with us. He never forsakes us. Till the end, he keeps that loyalty. So similarly, she had a love that reflected, reflected in her loyalty. She sticks with her mother-in-law and her God till the end. And therefore, she found favor in the eyes of God, it says. You know, she found favor not only in the eyes of God, she found favor in the eyes of the people because everyone heard about her loyalty, it says. No, everybody, even Boaz heard of Ruth's love towards her mother-in-law, her loyalty. So everyone blesses her in Bethlehem. And now you see that she goes, Naomi sends her out to glean. And it says, it so happened she went to the field of Boaz, it says. And Boaz is so kind to her. And he tells all his workmen there, those farmers, you leave some for her, let her pick up all these sheaves and let her go home. Like he is so kind to her and he tells her, you stay in this field, otherwise you may get molested. Don't go anywhere else, stay in my field. So she starts gathering from morning to evening. You see, Ruth is so diligent in her work. She gathered and, Boaz is watching all these things. And he's kind to her and he's generous to her. And she goes and she starts making a living. Now, do you know, one day, suddenly, Naomi says one thing that my children think is really crazy, okay? Naomi says, now go to the field of Boaz and lie at his feet, uncover his feet and lie there in the night. So my children were asking, what kind of a thing is this? Okay, do you also feel this is kind of crazy?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
Old lady.
Like out of nowhere.
Yeah, so actually I read about it. What is this thing? Even for me, it's kind of strange. That was the custom, Do you remember once the Sadducees asked Jesus, one brother dies and then there are 7 brothers,
Yeah.
one after the other they marry, and whose husband will she be? That is the law of Moses, okay? So if there is a brother and that brother dies, the second other brother will marry the widow. And it goes on and on. If that brother also dies, the next brother marries. So that's the law of Moses. It became a tradition, it became a custom and a law. So but in this case, both the brothers died. So there is a man called kinsman redeemer. The closest relative of that husband is supposed to marry the widow. Now, the closest, what Naomi thought is, now Boaz is really kind. Okay. Now, to go and approach this kinsman redeemer, you're supposed to go and sleep at his feet to show, like a proposal. I want you to redeem me. I want you to marry me or something like that. That is the way the Israelite women, they did that. So this was like a tradition or this is a tradition. This is not a law to go and lie at the feet of someone. It was a tradition that the Israelites followed to show that you're interested in marrying this man. So Boaz thought it was so noble of Ruth to come and fall at his feet. Okay, and also my daughter Neetu said, why didn't he send her back in the middle of the night? He should have told her, go back to your home. Why did he, allow her to stay there? Perhaps because if he had sent her away, maybe she would have been attacked. Maybe there was danger lurking. We don't know. Because, many a times he would say, don't go anywhere else. You may be molested. So I think for her own safety, he said, okay, stay in the night. Morning, I'll decide what to do. And then Boaz is a kind of a noble man. Even though he liked Ruth, there's one more kinsman redeemer who's closer than Boaz to Ruth. So he was the closest relative. So he goes and asks him, would you please take and, manage Ruth's estate? And would you? And he says gladly, okay. But then he said, you have to carry the widow also. Then the man refuses. After he refused only, he agrees to marry Ruth. So he followed the law to the dot. So he marries Ruth, and then he has a beautiful child. And this is Obed. The child is Obed. He's the great grandfather of David. Okay, Obed. Who's the next one? Jesse, and then David. So, and do you know the great grandma of Boaz? Do you know that? Who's the great grandma of Boaz?
Rahab.
Rahab. So now you see both the women. I love these two women's story because they are like impossible, then it becomes wonderful, it becomes a miracle. Okay?
Auntie, you're echoing.
Oh, somebody is. Okay, now?
Yeah, now it's fine.
So now you see how, you know, God from an impossible situation brings Ruth to Boaz and unites her. She's a widow. Nothing is impossible with this God that we worship. Now, what parallel we can draw? Ruth is a Moabite woman. She's from a cursed tribe, okay? And we are not, no way will any Israelite marry a Moabite woman. So impossible situation. Now, Jesus is likened to Boaz. He is our kinsman redeemer. He redeemed us. Who are we? Who is Ruth? We are Ruth. We are Ruth. Why? Because, you know, we are the Gentile bride of Christ. Okay? We who were far away, you know, we could not even enter. If we had gone to the temple, we can't even enter. We have to stand outside. We were not admitted into the court. But today we can stand right where God's presence is because Jesus redeemed us. We are his Ruth. We are his Gentile bride. Do you understand? Now the points I want you to remember is from Ruth's story, nothing is impossible with God. But the only step we need to take is we need to surrender our life to Christ. See how Ruth, if she had gone back like Orpah, her life would have been, you know, none of us would have heard about Ruth. The one important decision she makes is she surrenders her life to this God. You know, even Boaz once mentioned that because you came under the wings of the Almighty, he says. So that's what Ruth did. She came under the wings of the Almighty. We just have to take one step of faith and say, God, I surrender my life to you. So then we become we become so important. God starts putting us in the line of his purpose for our life. Second point. Third point to remember is, like Ruth was in such a, you know, impossible state where she could never have gotten married, you know. She had nobody, no kinsman redeemer, nothing in her homeland, nothing. But here she came under God's shadow. And then what happens? God, it says, it so happened she went into the field of Boaz. She didn't go seeking. She just went there to glean. She was not looking for a man. She went and she started gleaning. You don't have, you know, you're all young girls. You have to start thinking about, you know, in a few years about marriage or even now. You don't have to go around, you know, which man to catch, this man or that man. No need. God at the right time will bring you to the right man. Okay, you don't have to worry. God will choose better than what you can think, what you can imagine. He will give you the best, a noble man. So your Boaz is somewhere and God will take you to that person. And then, like a royal line, your line will be so blessed. You don't have to worry. Even you don't have to run. If there is a famine, if there is nothing, I need a job. I'm waiting for a job. You don't need to think. God, like how he provided Ruth abundantly. Imagine later on how wealthy she would have been. You don't have to worry. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? No need. God will take care of every need of yours. He knows where to take you to which field. Okay? So you can be just confident when you surrender your life to Christ. You're going to be blessed. So these are the takeaways I want you to understand. Now we have our own kinsman redeemer, Jesus. Just give your life to him 100%. Like how, Ruth said, till her death, she will be there. And even when she's buried, she's going to be buried there. Okay, do you have any questions?
No.
You're clear of all the story of Ruth?
I didn't like the fact that Boaz was like one tata. Like God could have made him younger.
Who said he's a tata?
He was old, no? He would have been like our parents' age or something.
No.
Who said that?
He said, "Don't you could have gone with younger men?" So I
Yes.
thought he was old.
Yes, whoever thought about it.
Ruth was a young girl, okay? Maybe she didn't go with her same age group. She could have gone with any guy in Moab, okay? Any guy of her age. But he was older than her. That's what he meant. Where does it say that he's so old and all that?
You showed
I
that picture, I
assumed.
think Ria thought.
No, when he said that itself, I thought he was like different generation.
No, nothing like that. Where does
Maybe he would have been like 40
Oh,
and she would have
because
been
he said
30.
She should have been maybe 35 or something. He must have been 40. Or maybe she was 30 and he was 40. I don't know. Maybe
I
10
thought
years.
she'd have been in
Because
her
of the
early
daughter, you got
20s.
confused. Huh?
The horror leader.
He just says that you could have chosen somebody younger. Instead, you came to me, he says. That's why. That's the sentence.
Yeah,
Right?
that's the.
Yeah. I think in
You
those.
know,
Yeah.
Sanju saying because he called daughter.
Yeah. Daughter. Okay. I don't know the equivalent of that word. Perhaps this means woman like. Even Jesus called, but Jesus is God. So he was only
Yeah, he's really the father.
he was 30 years old as on earth, but that woman with the issue of bleeding, definitely she would have been a middle-aged woman, but God will
Yeah.
call her daughter. I always laugh when I read that, so
Yeah, I never took
daughter is a
notice
form
of
of
that.
saying to somebody like a dear girl or something like that. Yeah, but even then, those days, I think age didn't matter. Because if
Yeah.
the younger brother had to marry, he'll be marrying an older girl, right?
Yeah, even Naomi was like, I'll give birth and you'll have to wait for him to marry.
Yeah. So I think it is for man and woman, there was no particular age, or I think it was
So sad for the younger brothers also if they have to marry an old woman.
That
no,
to their brother's
no, I
wife.
didn't like
Yeah.
the brother's wife. It was so sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
That's
any other questions or prayer requests or